Ever since Disneyland reopened after its COVID closures, it's been a little tricky to figure out when Disneyland is actually going to be busy. But I have some tricks up my sleeve that I personally use when I'm planning my family's trip to Disneyland, and I want to share them with you today. So let's get started. It used to be a lot easier to not only find a non-busy time at Disneyland, but to just simply figure out when that non-busy time will be. It was as simple as Christmas time and summertime, and the weekends are busy. Mondays and the rest of the year, not so much. Well, my friends, that is not the case anymore. These days, you need your bachelor's in Disney science just to figure out crowd levels. Luckily, I have a master's, so I can be your teacher for today. So let's move on to our first lesson. Lesson number 1, check the reservations calendar. This may seem like a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised with how often people don't do this. Currently, in May 2023, Disneyland requires all guests to reserve their day at the park, no matter what kind of ticket you have. Obviously, we want to make sure the reservations are available for when we even want to purchase our tickets, but this calendar can also be helpful to check right before you go so you know what to count on. What you want to do is hop on Disneyland's website and click on the Tickets and Reservations Details page. Scroll down to Park Availability, and then from there I like to choose 1 park per day tickets, because it will give you a good idea if one park will be more busy than the other. So in May, you can see that there are no more reservations available for Disneyland proper on the 2nd or the 3rd. So obviously something has made those days busy. In this case, it's the After Dark event Star Wars Night that's causing this, but we'll talk more on this later. You can also go back and look at the Magic Key calendar. If the date has a slash through it, it means it's a blackout date for that particular pass. And if it has a circle and a dash, it means all available reservations for that pass are full for now. I mostly just go off of the Believe and Inspire keys for this. Since they have the highest availability, it will give me the best idea of when it's actually going to be very busy. Looking at these 3 calendars alone, it is safe to say that May 2nd through the 4th are going to be very busy days with both Magic Key Pass holders and non-pass holders. You can also see when you look at the Believe Keys calendar that Disney is anticipating the 27th and the 28th as being really busy as well. With mostly out-of-towners, that's why they black out those dates. Using this technique, you can see that the first week in May and the weekends will probably be the busiest in the month. This crowd checking technique works best when you're a month or less out from the days you're going. Lesson number 2, check hotel prices and availability. I personally like to use either Expedia or TripAdvisor to do this, whether I'm booking through them or not, because they're easy to use and have a pretty big database. Just like our last trick, we will hop on the website or the app. Let's say it's Expedia this time. Say Disneyland is my location, not just Anaheim, because it needs to know that you're interested in Disneyland specifically. And select the dates you're interested in. Then go to Filters and select Distance to Landmark. This is important so that you're comparing the same hotels apples to apples. So you can see May 1st through the 5th prices jump very high, and you can also see a lot less hotels that are usually close to the park aren't even available. I mean, look at that cost to stay at the Westin, Mamma Mia! Now compare the next week, May 8th through the 12th, same amount of people, that's important. Way more hotels are available at half the price. This means hotels know there's not a huge demand for that week, so they will lower their prices to try to convince people to stay at their hotel, right? Now, looking at May 29th through June 2nd, you have even more options and not so bad a pricing as well. Also, seeing a Disneyland hotel with discounted prices is usually a good sign of low crowds as well, since they don't usually discount those very much. Lesson number 3, check crowd checking websites. Now, back in the day, these sites were Bible at my house, but it's gotten harder for them to keep up with all of the after dark events and post-COVID crowd trends, so they are best as a general educated guess that will tell you historically what has been busy. My favorite is a website called Is It Packed? It's easy to use and has always been the closest guess that I've seen. I'll leave a link to it in my description box. And no, this is not a paid advertisement, I just like it. But looking at their calendar, you can see that they did not know about Star Wars Night, because they have those dates open free and clear. But they do show you where the grad nights is, which if you don't know what that is, you can check out my Summer at Disneyland video to learn more about that. And they're guessing the weekends will be busy, and the 22nd through the 29th will also be consistently busy, with the 30th to June 2nd being not so bad. Lesson number 4, check for special events. We were just talking about this, but after dark events and unofficial celebration days will take you by surprise if you're not counting on it, for a couple of reasons. If it's an after dark separate ticketed event, you may find yourself getting kicked out of one of the parks early. You may also get extra crowds on and around those days, since people like to add on a day or two at the parks around those events. There's also unofficial holidays and events that bring in crowds like Gay Days, Dapper Days, Spring Break, and the D23 convention. You can find out about After Dark events on the Disneyland website if the event is coming up soon. But truthfully, the best place to get details on these events and dates is checking YouTube channels like mine. Shameless plug here, don't forget to like and subscribe, blah blah blah. But I do have several videos on the topic of crowds and yearly dates and schedules and whatnot. Or you can always just Google special events at Disneyland in May or whatever month you're looking at. Knowing the dates of these events, though, are huge in figuring out crowd levels at Disneyland and Disney California Adventure. So looking at the special events in May, we have Star Wars Nights, May 2nd, 4th, 8th, and 11th, which every one of those nights is sold out, but judging by what we've looked at earlier, we can see that the 2nd and the 4th will be the busiest of those days. You also have Grad Nights, which will be in the evenings at Disney California Adventure, May 12th, 14th, 17th, 19th, 21st, 24th, 25th, 30th, and 31st, with a few more in June. There are some grad night days that are more busy than others, and I think the Is It Packed calendar does a good job of showing you that, so I would check that one out. Lastly, lesson number 5, check out the Anaheim convention website to look for large conventions going on. If you check out the City of Anaheim's website, you'll find their convention calendar. This is important because the convention center is right next to Disneyland and will usually bring some crowds with its events due to discounted tickets they usually give and offer for convention goers. Now, are conventions guaranteed to pack the park? No. Some are bigger than others, but when they merge with other events, it can make a surprise busy day for sure. And looking at May's calendar, I can see why the first week of May looks so busy now, because you have a bunch of conventions at the same time as an After Dark event, so it created a bit of a perfect storm. Now, if you use all of the information collected today and everything we learned, let's figure out when you would want to visit the parks if you wanted to avoid the crowds. May 1st through the 5th is probably out, as well as the weekend around Mother's Day, and the 22nd through the 29th also looks to be pretty crazy, so if it were me, I'd probably choose somewhere around the 8th to the 12th, or the very end of May like the 30th to June 2nd. You see how that all works? Well, good news, you've officially sat through all 5 lessons of my How to Find Out If It's Crowded module, and you're a lot closer to graduating with honors, I'd say. Because if you're still with me, I honor you for being so awesome and willing to stick with me and maybe learn a little something new, and I hope you did. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to my channel for more content like this. Be kind to yourself, cast members, and each other, and we'll see you again real soon.